It's 11:30 p.m. You're lying in bed, the house is silent, and you are exhausted. But your brain? Your brain is wide awake. Specifically, it's back in that meeting from 3 days ago. You're replaying that one passive-aggressive comment your coworker made, the one you didn't have a comeback for at the time. But now, in the safety of your own head, you've got the perfect response. You're winning the argument. You're making your point. Or maybe you're rereading an email for the 15th time, trying to decode the real meaning behind a period instead of an exclamation point. It's physically draining, isn't it? It feels like you're running a marathon while standing perfectly still. You're carrying the weight of a conversation that ended hours ago, a mistake you made last year, or a slight from someone who has probably already forgotten you exist. If you're a chronic overthinker or a deeply empathetic person, you don't just notice things. You absorb them. You carry them. And today, I want to share a story that might finally give you permission to put that weight down. Centuries ago, two monks were traveling together back to their monastery. Now, these monks belonged to an order with very strict rules. One of the most sacred vows they took was never to touch a woman, not even a hand. To them, this was a path to ultimate discipline and purity of mind. As they walked, they came to a river. Usually the water was shallow, but recent rains had turned it into a rushing, muddy torrent. Standing at the edge of the bank was a young woman. She was dressed in fine, delicate silk clothes, looking distraught. She needed to cross to get home, but the water was too deep and the current was too strong. She was stranded. The younger monk saw her and immediately looked away. He stiffened, adjusted his robes, and began to wade into the water alone, eyes fixed on the opposite bank. He was following the rules. He was doing the right thing. But the older monk did something unexpected. Without a word and without a trace of hesitation, he walked over to the woman, picked her up, slung her over his shoulder, and carried her through the churning mud. When they reached the other side, he set her down gently on the dry grass. She thanked him, bowed, and went on her way. The older monk simply nodded and continued walking. The next 3 hours were silent, but it wasn't a peaceful silence. For the younger monk, the air was thick with tension. His mind was a storm. How could he thought. We took a vow. He touched her. He carried her. Does the law mean nothing to him? Is he a hypocrite? Every step the younger monk took felt heavier. He wasn't looking at the birds or the trees. He was looking at the back of the older monk's head, fueled by a growing righteous fury. The muddy water of the river was gone, but in his mind it was still swirling, churning, and getting dirtier by the minute. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He burst out, "Brother, how could you do that? You know our vow. You touched that woman. You carried her on your shoulders. How can you live with yourself after breaking such a sacred command?" The older monk stopped walking. He turned around slowly, a look of genuine compassion and mild surprise on his face. He looked at his younger companion, smiled softly, and said, "Brother, I set that woman down at the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Why are you still carrying her? That question hits like a ton of bricks, because most of us are that younger monk. We aren't at the river anymore. The event, the argument, the mistake, the rude comment is over. It exists only in the past. And yet, we are still lugging it across the miles of our day. When we ruminate, we are essentially performing a mental replay of a movie we hated the first time. Think of it this way. Rumination is like paying rent for a ghost. Your mental energy is like a bank account. You only have a certain amount of focus currency to spend each day. When you spend 3 hours relitigating a 5-minute disagreement, you're paying rent to someone you don't even like, inside a house they don't even live in. You're using today's energy to fight yesterday's ghosts. And for the empaths listening, I know why you do it. You do it because you care. You want to understand why someone was mean. You want to figure out how you could have been better so it doesn't happen again. You think that if you analyze the situation long enough, you'll find a solution that makes the hurt go away. But here is the hard truth. Thinking about the weight doesn't make it lighter. The younger monk thought his anger was a form of devotion. He thought by obsessing over the sin, he was being a better monk. In reality, he was the one who was actually touching the situation long after the older monk had let it go. He was the one who was truly burdened. So, how do we actually set the burden down? Because let's be honest, just let it go is some of the most frustrating advice in the world. If we could just let it go, we would have already. Setting it down isn't a one-time magical event. It's a conscious, repeated decision. The first step is simply identifying the carrying. It's realizing you're still holding the woman from the river. When you feel that tightness in your chest or that repetitive loop in your brain, stop and say it out loud. I am still carrying this. Acknowledge that the event is over, but the thought is current. Next, recognize the cost. Ask yourself, what is this costing me right now? Is it costing you your sleep? Is it costing you your presence with your loved ones? Is it costing you your ability to enjoy your day? The younger monk missed 3 hours of a beautiful walk because he was too busy being angry. What are you missing? Finally, give yourself emotional permission. This is the big one. We often hold on to grudges or guilt because we feel like letting go is giving up or letting the other person win. But listen to me. Forgiveness and letting go are not gifts you give to the person who hurt you. They are the ultimate acts of self-preservation. When the older monk put that woman down, he wasn't doing it just for her. He was doing it for himself. He knew that to keep his heart open and his mind clear, he couldn't stay attached to the encounter. If you're listening to this right now and you're feeling heavy, maybe there's a specific person or a specific memory that just flashed into your mind, I want you to take a deep breath. That river is miles behind you. The water has moved on. The woman has moved on. Even the person you're mad at has likely moved on. The only person still standing in the mud is you. You don't have to be the guardian of the past. You don't have to be the judge and jury for every mistake you've ever made. You are allowed to be light. You are allowed to walk the rest of the way in peace. So, here is your permission slip. Whatever it is, the email, the breakup, the stupid thing you said years ago, set it down at the river. You've carried it far enough. If this resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Is there something you've been carrying for too long that you're ready to leave at the bank today? Just acknowledging it can be the first step in setting it down.